Hello, students. So, my name is Waqar Ahmed, and I'll be continuing with your fourth unit. And in fourth unit, we'll be discussing 4.2 in this presentation. And 4.2 is your cap rocks, its definition, and general properties. So, the content of this presentation is we'll discuss about what are actually cap rocks and uh, uh, their role as in reservoir and cap rocks in less resistant rock. We don't have cap rocks only in reservoir. We have cap rocks in less resistant rocks as well. We have in salt domes as well, and then we have and then we'll discuss the properties of a good cap rock. What are the properties? In this slide, we will discuss about what actually are cap rocks and cap rocks. They are relatively impermeable rocks that seal the top of reservoirs and other geological formations. So, like the word is self-explanatory, like cap means a lid, uh, like a cap of a bottle. So, in oil and gas reservoirs, cap rocks they actually top the reservoir. They form as a seal or lid of the gas oil and gas reservoir. And on other form on in other formations of softer or less resistant rock, they also act as a top formations. So basically, we have on a specific set of rocks which act as cap rocks. They are usually shale, anhydrite, and salt. So in this slide, we'll discuss how cap rocks are in oil and gas scenario or in a reservoir. So in this figure, you'll in oil and this is a typical figure of an anticline oil and gas reservoir, and the cap rock is the impermeable rock layer, which you can see it's in the pink color in this, and the lithology of it looks like it's a shale. So it's a impervious rock layer which will actually stop the migration of oil and gas to go anywhere else, which you might have read about in your previous chapters about the petroleum system, what it constitutes, and and the sole purpose of cap rock is to prevent oil and gas to escape, uh, to stop it from migrating. So this actually particularly this applies to oil and gas reservoirs only. And like I said, you might have studied in previous earlier units, like oil and gas, they are found in reservoirs which are usually called as traps, which we will discuss in our next topic. And there are a few set of traps. We have anticlinal fault, stratigraphic reef, or salt traps, which will be discussed in our next topics. So, in the context of reservoir, the cap rocks they actually seal the oil and gas. They are of the reservoir, oil and gas reservoir. These in that the cap rocks they actually form as a sealing rock. So, like I said, the cap rocks they overlay reservoir rocks, and where hydrocarbon in reservoir rocks hydrocarbons are held, they are stored, and in that reservoir, this these specific set of rocks like which are impermeable, shale or salt, they form as a sealing, and usually from the cap rocks we'll have a source rock at a lower depths, but not necessarily directly below it. We'll have like in this we can see the source rock might be present somewhere here at the deeper down, and we have a cap rock here. So we'll in this slide we'll discuss the role of cap rock in apart from oil and gas reservoir. So in a less resistant rock we will have in a specific set of structures which we will see in some specific sort of areas. So based upon this structure, what happens here is when the cap rocks, which is harder to resistant or harder to weathering, it is present on top of a soft rock layers, so it will give rise to a specific set of structure. So in this case, the cap rock, it protects the delicate layers which are bottom from being eroded. As you can see around these pillars like structures, all the rock has been weathered, there's nothing present, only those softer rocks they are present which are directly below this set of cap rocks. uh, so this forms a unique feature, and these features they are called as buttes, mesas, scarps, and these features. And this typical picture, it's a hoodoo. So in case of uh, salt dome, and we'll also have a setting of cap rocks, and this is again uh, the salt dome, it forms, it's a kind of a trap which we'll discuss in later in other presentation about hydrocarbon traps. So this forms a trap, and we have, in black color we have oil, and then in grayish color we have gas along a salt dome. So this yellow color on this salt dome, this is actually a cap rock which is sulfur rich. So what happens is salt domes are actually large masses of underground salt with a small amount of anhydrite. And this salt, it's usually it has lower density than the surrounding rock. So it attempts to flow upwards. It pushes the rock. It tries to find a way to move upwards. So this usually, causes an upward bulge, if you can see on the surface we have a bulge shapes, so as it tries to fit in between the rock layers. So as it tries to move upward, there is a cap rock which happens, which occurs at the top of the salt dome, and sometimes we have anhydrite in this as well. So it's a vaporite mineral. So it reacts with bacteria and other substances, its chemistry changes, and it changes into, sometimes we have a sulfur in it as well, dolomite or limestone or gypsum. So these all substances, they contribute in making a cap rock and gives a salt domes. In this slide, we'll be discussing about what actually are the properties of a good cap rock. So if we'll discuss about a good reservoir, in a good reservoir, we must have a good cap rock as well. So what forms a cap rock? A rock that has a low porosity as well as low permeability. So, and what's the fun of cap rock? It's significant in a way that if we don't have a cap rock, so hydrocarbons will continue to migrate upwards from the source rock until they get an obstruction, uh, until they and eventually if there is a no obstruction in their movement, they'll eventually end up in the surface. So the cap rocks, this means that cap rock forms, it has a role of trapping any fluid below and within it. So the examples of cap rock are shale or anhydrite, and these type of shale and anhydrite or salt, these rocks, they form, they are common cap rocks in petroleum systems. And in petroleum systems, if you want to explore hydrocarbon fluid, so you have to drill through that cap rock to create a pathway, I mean, so that the oil will come upward on the surface so that we can extract the oil. This was a very small topic, and I hope you understood it. Thanks again.